Hello and welcome to Gifted Magazine. We have what you need. I hope that all of you are having a pleasant day thus far. It has been such a long weekend, but yet a great one. And it's going to be busy for sure this week. And I hope that all of you are in great spirits. Today being Monday, hopefully you're encouraged, ready to go, ready to take action, and to pursue all of your goals, never once coming off course for any distraction or anything else for that matter that takes your eyes or takes your mind off of your purpose, especially you being a goal-driven individual. You can do it, you have been doing it, and you shall continue to do it. So any negative thought that may come to your mind, remove that thought. Please do it for you. Do it for me. How about you do it for us? Because when more than one person or individual has the same mindset, or one has a mindset that may be seen as an even greater level than you may be mentally at the time, that's the kind of energy, or that's the type of person that you need around you, because there's room for growth. There's always room for growth, and to have someone to elevate you mentally, or someone you can build with mentally, it's a great thing. It's an amazing thing. And those things you should forever cherish. Never take those things for granted. Never. And I mean never. Okay? So stay motivated. Stay motivated. Do what it is you have to do. It will come to pass. If you believe, it'll come to pass. And that's for sure. It'll definitely happen for you. Okay? So there is a 10-year study that I have been observing, and I am going to do a little bit of coverage tonight on the podcast. I'm not going to make this video very long. I'm going to do some coverage on a podcast tonight at the Gifted Ones podcast. Okay? And this is concerning men and women. Men particularly having aggression toward women. Now, this is a study, but I am going to also give my opinion. Many may have things to say about it, which is fine, because I don't live for you. I live for me. And I truly believe in what's right. I try to do the right thing as much as I possibly can. Because one thing for sure, if you don't have accountability, you shall and you will forever play the blame game. Now, keep it real with self. Be real with self as an individual. Stop playing games and take accountability, as I have and many others have, because there is consequences to behavior, man. You know what I mean? And one thing about it, bad behavior, and one thing about it, the staff of correction, God will, or the Most High, will put it on your backside. You dig what I'm saying? And that's something I truly believe. So as a man, being the man that I am, I stand in that. I'm rooted in that. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I might not agree with it all the time, But after a brief analysis or analyzing my actions and what I have done, I embrace the truth of it. Because sometimes we do things that we're unaware of, and sometimes those behaviors are practiced, and no one's pulled us by the coattail to say, hey man, now I don't agree with what you're doing. And it's not necessarily about having having an agreement, because we can have an agreement. We men, we can have an agreement. That don't mean that I'm gonna hate you or dislike you. But if I don't agree with it, that's just what it is. Okay? But if I'm wrong, I don't mind apologizing. Sincerely. You know what I mean? Because that's just what men do. You know what I mean? Especially if you're trying to walk or you walking in a more upright fashion. Okay? So, getting into men having aggression towards women. There is many cases and many reasons that a man would be aggressive towards a woman. Now, a woman being so great, no matter what you say about them, God himself created the woman wonderfully for the man. Being curvaceous, having all of the things that a man would ever want sexually, not to mention a particular type of woman, having the mindset to do right by her man, to encourage her man, to support her man without giving him lip service in return. God took his rib and created, God took your rib, the man, creating the woman that you should have a comforter, a confidant, or so that you should have a companion, okay? So that you could eventually have something known as offspring, bearing a child or children, being your children, with your DNA, injecting your DNA within the woman, giving you a beautiful life, or bearing a child, giving it life. Okay? The child being the first thing, or the mother being the first thing that child sees. The first thing that the child sees once she gives birth to that thing, right? Okay. Now, for the reason being that some guys have such animosity towards women, I could never understand, because a woman has always been my choice. A woman has always been something needed, Now, I don't all the time agree with the behaviors of a woman, and they should, they should, be, and you shouldn't pacify that behavior. If you're a real stand-up guy, it's just certain things you ain't gonna accept from a woman anyway. You know what I mean? But for a man to constantly drag a woman, I find something wrong with that. I find something wrong with it. If you're a man, I'm almost certain, and you're walking in your strength as a man, I'm almost certain that you are aware of the behaviors of a woman. Now, that is not to pacify their behavior, okay? Instead of talking about the woman, how about you talk to the woman? Does it make sense? Instead of talking about the women, and I'm not talking about, because you have quite a few channels out there Dr. BOA. You know, he believes in the ism. He believes in the game, you know, pimp principles, you know, and so do I. I myself, I do as well, because mainly everything that is taught is coming from a strong foundation, a strong foundation being that of the Old Testament. Okay? So, and you also have AMS. You know what I mean? Now, they utilize examples of women and what men should do in correspondence to the behavior of these women. But they aren't bashing women because they're having a difficult time in life right now. Most of them that's had a long journey or has had a history of doing things that everybody didn't agree with once upon a time. You know, they're transforming and transitioning, you know, trying to become a better version of themselves. And then you have men to tear them down. What does a woman's finances have to do with you? What does a woman's living quarters or living situation have to do with you? Instead of you talking about her negatively, if you have the power to change her circumstance or her situation, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? It's about game, right? It's about building the woman, right? It's about supporting the woman, right? It's about leading the woman so that she should follow, right? It doesn't matter if you're in a relationship with a woman or not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You, as a man, are a leader, right? So do your job and stop gossiping. It's that simple. Do your job as a man. Now, I could only imagine the expression on my grandfather's face if I were to ever talk about a woman openly, especially talking about her finances, her living situation, and what she used to be. None of that even matters, man. It don't matter. What can you make her? Or what can you do to influence her? You can't change her, but you can give her the influence to possibly change in the future for the better. Right? I can only imagine my father's face, his facial expressions, what he'd say to me by conducting myself in such a manner. Because men, they just don't conduct themselves like that. Now, the barbershop talk, okay, I can dig that. Barbershop talk, although I don't do it, but you know, I mean, women do it in the salon or whatever too, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, they gossip. That's what they do. That's the behavior of a woman. You know, and we could do it in the locker room, you know what I mean? Have a few conversations or whatever, you know. But to openly degrade a woman like that, or women, and not using an example, it's not an example that you're making. You're nitpicking. You're making fun of them. You're talking down on them. Women that are trying to actually levitate, man. Like you're bitter. Guys sounding bitter out here, man. Maybe it's due to your own personal experience. Maybe women such as these that you talk about was the one that got away, or the one that disowned you. Maybe you're still hurting within from past events that took place, and you feel some type of way now that you're in your adult years, or now that you've become an adult. But to do things such as to degrade a woman, and most of these women, they don't even know, that's trying to change their lives for the better. And then some guys, or some guys, they have spiritual beliefs and backgrounds. What would Jesus do? That's my question to you. What would Jesus do? Would he take them by the hand and lead them in the way they must go? Or would he crucify them with harsh words, being bitter, in a feminine energy, grown men, in a feminine energy, being bitter? You know what I mean? It's not a good look, man. Hey, that's all I wanted to say for the very moment. But later on tonight, 9 o'clock EST, 9 p.m. EST, I want you to come on over to the Gifted Ones podcast, and we're gonna bust down, this 10-year study, men, women, relationships, and the aggression that men have towards women, and the reason why, or some of the reasons why. So, this is AwesomeWill, and this is Gifted Magazine, having what you need. We will do great things together. I appreciate you guys for supporting me. You know what I mean? I appreciate you coming on over to the podcast. I would really like to talk about this over on the podcast tonight. So don't be afraid to chime in. We can go live. We can interact. Anything that you desire to discuss regarding this topic, feel free to give your input. But until then, you be good. And peace. Later.